am not Lisa. Lisa was exposed to COVID Easter Sunday. I got a call at noon today saying, would you fill in for me, Harry? I'm Harry Stanabine. I'm a member of the board, and I'm normally chair of the golf committee. So please bear with me as we go forward. We do have a quorum. I'm sitting in for Lisa, and 4 of the 5 are here, so that is a quorum. Approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes from the March 15th meeting? Seeing none, they'll stand as written. First item on the agenda, Sports Pavilion Bowling Manager Report. Barry?
Okay, March of 23 compared to March of 22, league bowling was up $14,857. Open bowling was down $3,674, mainly due to a couple tournaments we held in 22 and not in 23. Miscellaneous revenue, flat $43. Total bowling revenue, we were up $11,140. Food and beverage revenue, we were up $4,241. Non-bowling revenue, we were up $7,402, and that was mainly due to the restaurant paying rent up until September. And a grand total bowling revenue, we were up $22,783. Loser Acres Pub was up $7,955, and open games bowled, we were down 480. Any questions on that? Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Good afternoon, everyone. We go over the financial results for February, and always attached to this is the P&L. This is just kind of high-level look at it, and Barry's already stole my thunder for next month's meeting by presenting March results, so it'll be just as exciting. All right. Hey, it's got to go and freeze it. Oh, that's good. Take care of it. Okay, so looking at the February year-to-date results for bowling, we are total operating revenue is favorable to budget by $32,000. Continue to knock it out of the park with the bowling revenue, and holding a few more events this year, which is dragging it down a little bit because we offset our revenue with the events that take place, the different events during the week. So it's dragging it down a little bit, but still favorable to budget by $32,000. Looking at expenses compared to budget, we're $48,000 unfavorable. This is due mainly to wages and benefits and some equipment that we purchased, the bowling pins, which we continue to talk about every meeting. But the total of all that is $48,000. Wages and benefits driven mostly from our health insurance. Our premiums increase, unforeseen increases there, as well as the minimum wage came in higher than we had anticipated when we did the budget last year. So total income from operations is $16,000 unfavorable to budget, and we should make up some ground in March on that. Looking at prior year, $56,000 favorable over last year. Mainly, we're about level on. I think we're a little higher in bowling lineage, but it's mainly due to the increases that we implemented during the budget process approved by the governing board last year. And then on the expense side, you can see wages and benefits, again, driving most of that, and then that bowling pin purchase in October. So compared to prior year, 10,000 unfavorable in operating cash inflow. Some of the revenue notables: league play continues to be really strong, and at 39,000, promo is down 8,000. Our guest our guest play is down 1,000 over fiscal year 22. Open is up total between CMP and open bowling up 8,000. Overall revenue increase of 9%. And then again, that lineage is pretty consistent, 1% above prior year, and then the bowling rate increase of 18 cents per line, or 7% total. And then those bowling pins that we've talked about. And Harry, that's it.
Are there any questions from the committee for Cliff? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is new business. Sports Pavilion age restriction clarification. Barry.
Okay, currently, we are at, you have to be 18 years of age or older to bowl by yourself. You can come in with your parents. Young kids can come in with their parents, but we don't take in unaccompanied kids under 18 to bowl in the bowling center. That's as we sit today. Prior year, we had an age restriction of 45, but that since has been dropped to be under the same as golf, allowing outsiders to play golf. So that's where we sit currently.
Any questions from the committee? Joe?
So it was changed to be consistent with
Correct,
golf.
the rest of the facilities, right?
Bill?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Harry. This age restriction issue has come up in our world, and we just want to get some clarification on it. Some of the information that membership is passing out relative to bowling talks about children may bowl if they can safely handle a bowling ball. That's what's being distributed on our end, so we need a little more information going out for clarity. And then this also makes reference to please check our guest policies. Some of the complaints that we received were that some of our bowling staff, Sports Pavilion staff, were telling people the old rule, basically no one under 45, and that was inconsistent, obviously, with what is reality over there. And so we want to make sure we're all singing off the same page, whether it's billiards, darts, golf, the library, mini golf, and all that. We want to make sure our age policy is being adhered to. In our policy, it does drop down to 16. Any named guest under 16 must be accompanied by a responsible adult. Guests under 16 years of age must be accompanied by a reasonable adult. Owner members, associate members, and tenants must have a recent photograph, blah, blah, blah. All good, and they all need to be in good standing. But our policy is at the 16-year level, not 18. So I want to make sure when we're talking about golf and other things, we're all together. So recommendation-wise, and a couple of comments, Barry and the committee, where are we going? Because something needs to change as far as consistency goes.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the committee?
I'll go either way, but what my fear is that we don't want to get a bunch of kids in there, 15, 16 years old by themselves. They tend to have too much fun for us.
No one under 16 unaccompanied. I mean, that's the key word there, is unaccompanied. So.
Joe?
But if I'm understanding what you just said, a 17-year-old would, if we were consistent with the policy, a 17-year-old unaccompanied and up would
Instead of
be,
18.
would be allowed.
Under the age of 16.
Correct. Thank you, Cliff.
16 and up would be acceptable.
Yes.
I mean, as the general manager, what's your opinion of if we stuck with 18?
Policy-wise, we'd have to make a change. And that's governing board responsibility.
Right.
So, I mean, we've talked about it. Should I be at the microphone? And sign in.
State your name and your,
Yeah.
your number.
Since you're
Didn't
not
have
a
one.
resident, you have to be accompanied.
Go ahead. Yes, yeah. And we're really looking for recommendation from this committee. We've kind of talked about it in-house, right? You can buy a house at 19 here. Same thing with swimming, right? If you're going to use a swimming pool, typically we're looking at a 16 number, 16 years of age. Renting a golf cart requires a driver's license. You get a driver's license at the age of 16. So that's kind of the threshold, I think, as far as how the policy was developed in the first place back when. But I just think we just have a document here that we're kind of struggling with because it goes anywhere from age to inches high. I mean, you can't get in the billiard center until you're 52 inches tall. I don't know if we have a member shorter than that, but I wouldn't be the one to tell them they can't come in the billiards room because you're not tall enough. So there needs to be some cleanup in this policy as far as that goes. So just looking for recommendation. You know, if you're 16, I don't know, in today's world, I don't know maturity level, but if you're accompanied by a responsible adult or owner member, I think you've got cover there.
Bill, do you have a policy number?
I do. I did. FA8, and it's under the guest credit policy.
Okay, I think I'll open it up for comments from the audience, and then I'll come back to the committee, and we will put together a recommendation for Lisa to take forward. Does that sound okay? Okay. Please state your name and rec number.
Shelley Giles, 120182. I just want to know, how is this going to affect Lizard Acres? If you open up the bowling to 16 and above, are they going to be able to go into Lizard Acres and play the shuffleboard and the darts? I mean, they may think they can, but.
No, the state, they have to be accompanied by a parent. Now, if they're accompanied by a parent and they're allowed by state law, but outside of that, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Seeing none, I'll come back to the committee for what they think their recommendation should be. Jim?
Barry, I understand. Right now, it's got to be 18 years or older, right, in order to bowl. And Bill, you're talking about. Bill, you're talking about 16 or older?
I'm trying to get some consistency within policy
the other-
and various venues that we operate.
I don't see why there has to be consistency within venues. Each venue would stand on its own. You have 16-year-olds playing golf. You only have, well, one of them going out. You know, you only got a foursome going out at one time. You don't, in the bowling alley, you've got everybody together. Like Barry was saying, you get 3 or 4 16-year-olds in there and a little more lively than I'm going to be, or used to be. It's just something that I don't see where we have different venues. I don't see where we have to be consistent within each venue.
Okay.
I think that
you know, each venue should make up its own rules as to what works for that venue. To me.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Joe?
I certainly see the logic in what Jim just said, but I also see some logic in inconsistency in as much as, I don't know how often it would come up, but I can just envision that if we adopted 16, that somewhere along the line complaints would come in because it's not that stated that way on the website or in some document that they got, or some resident told them wrong information, which apparently is happening already, which is what brought this to the fore. So I could see either way. I also am sympathetic to what Barry is saying, that yes, I could see 2 lanes of, 8 17-year-olds together having a good time and having it get maybe out of control, which we wouldn't want. On the other hand, I can also see, because I know that we have residents who have 16, 17-year-old kids, nieces, nephews, whichever, come here to visit and enjoy the pools. And I could also see them wanting to say, well, on a hot day, let's go over to the Sports Pavilion and bowl. So I don't know that I'd want to handcuff them in that regard, handcuff our residents in that regard, but I also would like to see something that works for Barry and staff and Bill and staff.
Thank you. Cheryl?
I think 17 would be good. And the problem, you can always see problems. And I have a question about billiards. What's the age for billiards?
They've always gone by height.
Really?
For the last 25 years. It's a certain height. I think it's 42 inches or 52. 52. So hopefully we don't have any midgets playing that are older. So it's not by age, because I guess they felt at that time, if you were that tall, you were mature enough not to rip the felt.
Okay, I have an 11-year-old grandson who could do that, and I would not want him with a weapon
With a weapon.
in the billiard room. But 17, the 16, and then when they go to bowl, do they have to give a rec card number for a resident? Or because what's going to happen is that you can have everybody from Timbuktu coming in to bowl.
If they're over 18, they don't need a rec card number.
Okay. I would think changing it, if you're under 16, you need an adult. If you're over, it's fine. And if they need to be thrown out, so be it. If you were anywhere else and they were causing a ruckus, they would be escorted out the door. So.
Mary, what you're saying is right now, an 18-year-old comes in off the street, they can bowl
Correct.
without a red card.
Right.
So do we want to do that with 16-year-olds? I wouldn't think so.
I'll do whatever you want me to do. My only fear is with the new places opening up, Fat Cats down the street and the other bowling center down the street, they're anywhere from $8 to $10 a game or $15 per person per hour. So you're going to maybe visit them once. And if you hear about us at $4 a game, we're going to head up there if they can. So that's my only fear for younger kids.
I agree.
Joe?
But that's subject to an open lane as well,
Correct.
which, I mean, isn't very often, correct? Or am I not?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday afternoons.
So you're absolutely right. Your scenario, I think, is well stated. But if they did come to us once for the $4 bargain bowl with their buddies and they couldn't even get on, that might kibosh it.
Deter it. Lead me down the path.
Well, I'm hearing, do we have a recommendation?
I say leave it at 18. Kids at 16, they break something, they blow that ball and hit somebody else's stuff. Who's responsible? They don't have a parent, nobody. But at 18, they're adults, you can sue them or whatever to get whatever they break fixed. And there's lots of equipment in that place.
Does somebody want to make a recommendation?
I would make a recommendation that we leave it at 18, to be very honest. I think we're asking for trouble if we go to 16 without a rec card or an adult.
I'm not, just a comment there, I'm not sure what we're leaving at 18.
The bowling.
The policy, I don't have a bowling policy. I have a policy that basically covers the house, that talks about the age of 16. That's the consistency issue that I've got.
Your recommendation that we establish.
So if the policy, based on your recommendation, moving forward, that you would like to see this policy increase to the age of 18.
Not necessarily for all the venues.
Okay. And that,
Like I said before, we've got different venues,
Mhm.
and each one is unique within its own right. And, with the bowling, like we were just discussing, the kids coming in without a rec card at 16, if the lanes are available, they're gonna come in here, it's a lot cheaper. 16-year-olds aren't dumb.
okay.
Joe?
All right, then I will recommend that the policy for the sports pavilion for bowling, excuse me, for bowling be no one under 17. Sorry, no one under 18, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Unaccompanied by
Parent or guardian.
a resident, yes, because that would have its own age restriction, so, yeah. So, that our policy for bowling in the sports pavilion be no one under 18 allowed to bowl without an accompanying resident.
Carol?
Works for me.
Okay, I think we have a recommendation.
You have to realize now you're changing it totally. Because now they don't need a resident, all they need is an adult.
No, Joe said with a resident.
So that changes the policy.
Yes.
Right, Bill?
Yes. The policy as written, guests under the age of 16 must be accompanied by a responsible adult
Right.
at all times.
That's fine for open bowling. You know.
Correct.
So anybody under 18 needs a
Come join the fun.
So now I'm not sure, are we muddied more than we started out with?
Well, what the policy says now, Bill, if I'm hearing it correct, is under the age of 16 has to have a responsible adult with them for open bowling.
Not about open bowling. This is the umbrella of all.
Oh, umbrella of all, okay.
Guests under the age of 16 years old must be accompanied by a responsible adult at all times. Swimming pools, golf courses,
Everywhere,
fitness rooms,
okay.
everything.
And that's the only policy that there is. So this would be a new policy
or a 4.8, where you talk about bowling?
If you're talking just about bowling.
So does that include pools?
Yes, ma'am.
So you don't need a resident?
You need to come up to the microphone, please.
I'm just asked, Shelley Giles, same number. I'm just asking if the umbrella policy that Bill is proposing, it covers the pools too, that if you're over 16, you don't have to have a resident sign you in at the pools. And I understand the difference. A pool, if you're farting around, you hit your head on something, you, God forbid, drown, they can't do anything to Sun City West. But if you're in the bowling alley and something happens, they can do something to somebody that's under 18, you know?
Thank you.
Bill?
Couple points of clarification. Bill's not proposing anything.
Right. Yeah.
Bill's reading the rule book.
Yeah.
And the rule book says, 16 and accompanied. The reason I believe that the language is in here that says responsible adult is because at the golf venues and the bowling venues, those are open to the general public. Pools, swimming pools, fitness rooms, anyone without a membership card is not accessing those venues. So a responsible adult or an owner member, tenant, associate member is going to be there with someone underage or a non-member. So that's covered. So it really kind of comes down to some of these standalone venues is kind of where we're at. So overall, globally, the policy says 16.
Sure. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Call this meeting back to order. I think what we will do is we will table this motion for a month. Everybody put it in the back of their mind and come forward in a month's time to discuss a new policy, B05, bring your recommendations forward and decide if you want to develop a new policy or just what you would like to do. And I think Lisa will probably kill me.
Thank you.
Okay. Sunday night red tap bowling. Residents versus non-residents. Barry.
I'm a little confused because we don't have anything on Sunday nights called that. So I'm assuming they meet Saturday night. So we'll go from there. Saturday night was developed before I got there for a night of non-resident and resident bowling. Since we have a lot of non-resident league players, they couldn't bowl in the BACW club event because they weren't residents. So they established this other Saturday night, and it was designed for both parties. So currently, they bowl on Saturday. We get a book out on Tuesday morning. where they can sign up for the following event. For a while, we were having the people that bowled on the Saturday event automatically get first chance to sign up for the next event. But then we discovered that's really not fair because no one else is ever getting in except the same people. So we went back to having an open book Tuesday morning. Everybody can sign up. So far, we've been doing that for a month and a half now, and we really have had very few issues with that. So that's that.
Any questions from the committee for Barry? Any questions from the audience? It sounds like the issue is taken care of. Okay. Lizard Acres update. Are there any updates on Lizard Acres?
Other than Joe will have his report from the subcommittee, but other than that, things are going well. We were up again last month, so things are still jammed in on Friday nights. But so far, no problems, but everything's going good. Summer hours are effective May 1st. We close on Sundays and open 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Monday through Saturday.
Well, looking at the February revenue increase, it must be running pretty good.
We are running really good. $3 beer is kicking. For now.
Any comments from the committee on this? Okay, Sports Pavilion Restaurant Bar Concept Subcommittee update. Joe.
Thank you. We had a meeting last week, and Carl Wilhelm presented, if you want to go to the next, the attachment. No, you went past it. There you go. Oh, there it is. The first one. Thank you. Carl presented this overall schematic of the Sports Pavilion, which looks to me like it's a blueprint type plan that we have on file apparently for all of our buildings. And the direction that the subcommittee was going was to look into a proposed expansion of the Lizard Acres pub into essentially half of the bowling locker room, which would be a semi-major redo of the existing footprint. Unfortunately, if we did that, it would trigger a required increase in bathroom facilities for the Sports Pavilion. And the subcommittee, having heard that report from Carl and looking at the options, basically decided that expansion of the current Lizard Acres pub space is just not feasible, barring a consensus of residents wanting to spend several $1 million, I would expect. So that leaves us, the subcommittee, with doing nothing or redesigning the current Lizard Acres pub space. And if you go to the other attachment, that is the blank current space as it exists, with the bar in the upper left-hand corner as you're looking at it, and the entrance to the left of that. What we are proposing is to change the bar setup from that upper left corner as you're looking at it and take out the green wall and essentially put the bar on that long wall, essentially where the green wall is now. It would be long or maybe slightly curved. That would be yet to be determined. To get it out of that corner, make it easier to serve people, create less of a jam at the entrance to the space. And then we would look further into, dominoes after that. In other words, new seating and perhaps lighting and that sort of thing. So that's where we ended our meeting last week. So no expansion per se, but a possible proposed renovation of the current Lizard Acres pub space. Questions, comments?
I guess what I'm hearing is that it's still a motion in process and needs further work going forward.
Correct.
Not unless you're making a recommendation to do just a remodel. Otherwise, there's no more work to be done unless a recommendation is given.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So any comments from the committee?
I think we have to do a remodel. I mean, I think that's a given of one sort or another. And trying to do that remodel, I think we need to try to keep the occupancy the same so that we can keep the same amount of people coming into Lizard Acres. So we need to do a remodel without decreasing, the amount of people that we can put in there. As far as the restaurant bar concept goes, I think that's out the window. I don't think we can ever put a restaurant in Lizard Acres, and I don't think Barry wants to be in the restaurant business. But I mean, I just don't think without expanding to some sort that you're going to be able to put a restaurant in there. You're still going to have to depend on memos to work something out that way, for food. And we discussed that with some sort of clarity the last Friday meeting. That's my comment.
Cheryl?
Are you recommending then that darts and we stay exactly the way they are?
We don't have specific clarity on that, but certainly it's something that we would be looking into if we go forward as a subcommittee, or if this kicks back to the larger committee. Barry had mentioned that he could foresee moving we out of there, which would help in some regards. I suppose unless you're a dedicated Wii bowler, and then you might have some issues. But we can deal with that. The darts, at this particular time, we were thinking would actually go where the current bar is, up in that corner. It would be tucked away, even with the standoff for, the line for where you stand. You wouldn't be out in the main as much as they are. Correct. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any further comments from the committee? Comments from the audience?
Hi, excuse me. Hi, Tim Hurley, 120454. We are we're a pretty long way into the budgeting process right now for this year. This would be a new capital item. So if the committee makes a recommendation to go to the governing board that this be added to this year's budget, it needs to be done fairly quickly. I would suggest that this is probably, since this is really a blank sheet of paper, that some time be taken over the next year and have it added to next year's budget. That would be my comment. Thanks.
Thank you.
Peg Martinez, 139799. maybe I misunderstood. I was on the subcommittee. So do I hear what you're saying, that we're done and that nothing's going to be done? Or are we still going to meet to talk about furniture remodel?
If you don't mind, Ms. Martinez, to clarify, you were at the committee meeting. You're not a member of the subcommittee. I know that's not what you meant to say.
No, but I did apply. My application is being
For the
processed.
following year? Okay,
For the
good for you. So yes, I think you misinterpreted what was said. My question would be, does the larger committee want the subcommittee to continue and work on what will now be a renovation of the space versus expanding? And to follow up on Mr. Hurley's comment, yes, that was our thought, is that we would look into it with, quite a bit of depth and do it right, so it would not be this year's budget. And we understand the timelines for next year's budget to submit a request. So that is kind of where we're at, that we would look at the renovation and how everything comes into play, including darts and Wii and live entertainment and the special nights, which of course are popular, which is why it appears to us that this is needed.
Right.
And I should have mentioned in my initial that we have had some conversations with the lessee of memos, and all I can tell you about that is that it looks promising that contract holder does want to work with us, the Sports Pavilion and Lizard Acres Pub operations to come up with a win-win scenario. We also understand that contractual things are not our purview, it's the general managers.
Perfect. Thank you for answering my question.
Carl?
Director Standevine, I'm willing to continue to work with a subcommittee. If you, as the director of today's committee, wants to continue it on, my only recommendation was we would move to a once-a-month scenario all the way until planning was done, and we just have, well, I guess for the season, and then the summer would be my typical project planning where, maybe we could get it done by June 30th. I can at least come back to September when the committee starts back up with some financials, some, information based on the next 2 months of maybe having 2 more meetings.
I will leave that up to the committee.
When do the regular committee meetings end? June? Karen? June is the last meeting? Okay, I think that makes sense then if we have 2 more meetings. Have 2 more committee meetings and 2 more meetings with you, Carl, and set something up as what we're looking at as to, where we want something and doing something again with the furniture and making it non-accident prone.
That would be helpful, otherwise I won't have much other
To
than
do otherwise.
personal ideas, you know what I'm saying? So
That's my recommendation.
Cheryl?
I'm not on the committee, but I would. I'm not on the committee, but I would support anything that the committee does. And I do see here where you want to move the bar area, and I understand that. Now that's logical. But what about the entertainment? Where the band would be, would that have to move?
It wouldn't have to move, but all options would be on the table. I can tell you that we did conceptually discuss the idea that we can't please everybody, and don't write this in concrete because we haven't decided anything. But for example, if we was going to move, that would be some stakeholders that would probably be less than thrilled. But regarding your question about I gave it away now, The live entertainment, yes, if we kept it on that current west end, we do have concerns that providing a designated dance area, for example, does handcuff us in other ways, namely overall capacity of the space. And I guess related to that, the flow, which we do have some concerns about from, for example, an ADA standpoint. So those are all items that we would dive into to try to come up with, you know, probably some professional input to try to get some help with that.
Okay, what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it feels like the committee should go forward, have 2 meetings, one in May, one in June, and go forward to bring it forward next fall, and then have it in place with a decision coming forward into the next budget season. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. Do we have a consensus? Yes. Okay, we have a consensus on that. Okay. Next on the list, I have committee comments. We'll start with Cheryl. Joe?
I'm good, thank you.
Jim? Any comments from the audience? Well, Lisa, I did it in 45 minutes. This meeting is adjourned.
Usually,